I still remember the cold, sterile smell of the hospital room the day I realized my son-in-law was trying to kill me. That sounds insane, doesn't it? I mean, who would ever think that someone you trusted enough to marry your daughter could go that far? But when you're lying on a hospital bed, barely able to move, and you overhear your son-in-law trying to bribe your doctor to inject you with something special, your entire world tilts on its axis. Was I wrong for what I did next? Maybe. But I promise you, if you were in my place, you might have done the same thing. It all started about 6 months ago. I'm a 63-year-old man, retired after spending nearly 40 years working in finance. My life wasn't perfect, but it was peaceful. My wife passed away years ago, and my only daughter, Sarah, was my whole world. When she introduced me to her fiancé, Daniel, 3 years ago, I wasn't sure about it from the start. Something about him didn't sit right with me. He was charming, sure, had that polished businessman vibe, but behind that smile, I always felt something hollow, like he was playing a role. Still, Sarah loved him, and for her sake, I stayed quiet. After they married, things started changing slowly. Sarah visited me less often. And whenever she did, Daniel wasn't far behind. He always seemed to want to know about my finances, my savings, my will. He'd make little comments like, "You must have quite a retirement fund after all those years." Or, "You ever thought about putting Sarah's name on your estate papers?" He'd laugh it off, but I never did. I brushed it aside, though, because confronting him would only cause tension between me and my daughter. Then, about 3 months ago, I had a mild stroke. It wasn't severe, but it left me weak and partially bedridden for a while. Sarah and Daniel insisted I move in with them until I recovered. At first, I was grateful. It felt comforting to have family close. But soon I began to notice small things that made me uneasy. Daniel would handle my medication for convenience, saying he didn't want me to mix them up. I'd see him checking my mail and sometimes whispering with Sarah behind closed doors. One evening, I overheard something that froze my blood. I was half awake, lying in bed, when I heard Daniel in the next room on the phone. His voice was low, but clear enough. His old, weak, and the doctor already said his heart isn't strong. You just need to give him the right thing to, make it look natural. There was a pause. Then he said, "Don't worry, you'll get your money." I didn't know what to think. My mind raced. Was I imagining it? Could I have misunderstood? I spent the whole night staring at the ceiling, terrified but unsure of what to do. The next morning, I called my doctor, Dr. Malik, a man I'd known for years. I'd asked him, "Doctor, has anyone talked to you about changing my treatment?" He hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. Later that day, Dr. Malik came to see me privately. He looked pale, nervous. After making sure Daniel wasn't around, he leaned close and said, "Sir, I shouldn't be saying this, but yes, Daniel offered me money. He wanted me to inject you with something that would cause cardiac arrest, but look like a medical complication." I refused, of course, but I think he's planning something else. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might give out right then. That's when I knew I wasn't safe. But I didn't confront Daniel immediately. I played along. I acted weak, confused, even grateful. I told them how thankful I was to be in their home. Meanwhile, I started planning. If Daniel wanted to destroy me quietly, I would expose him loudly. I called my lawyer and secretly changed my will. Instead of leaving everything to Sarah directly, I transferred most of my assets into a trust she couldn't access until Daniel was completely out of her life. I also installed a small recording device under the side table near my hospital bed. If Daniel made another suspicious call, I'd have proof. Days passed, and my health started to improve. Daniel didn't like that. I could see the irritation behind his face. One night, around 11 p.m., I woke up to the sound of the door creaking. Through my half-closed eyes, I saw Daniel standing by my bed with a small vial and a syringe. My body froze, but my mind screamed. I forced myself to stay still, breathing shallowly as he leaned over me. He whispered, "Good night, old man. You've lived long enough?" Before he could inject me, the door swung open. Dr. Malik and a nurse burst in. You see, I had called Dr. Malik earlier that evening, pretending I was feeling strange. I told him to come by around midnight just to check my blood pressure. I'll never forget Daniel's face when the doctor entered the room. He dropped the syringe instantly, stuttering, trying to come up with an excuse. Dr. Malik grabbed the vial, looked at it, and his expression turned grim. "This isn't your medication," he said. "What the hell are you doing, Daniel?" Sarah ran in moments later, confused and terrified. Daniel tried to spin the story, saying it was just vitamins, that he was helping me because I couldn't sleep. But the nurse had already called security. The police were summoned, and within the hour, Daniel was taken away. The recording I'd hidden caught everything: his earlier calls, his threats, even him talking about the special injection. Before I tell you what happened next, let me ask you something. What would you have done in my shoes? If someone you trusted, someone who married your daughter, tried to kill you for money, would you forgive them? Or would you make sure they paid for it? Think about it. Because in that moment, I had to decide between revenge and mercy. After the police arrested Daniel, everything came crashing down for Sarah. She was in denial at first, crying, begging me to believe he was innocent. But when she heard the recordings, she broke down completely. The man she thought loved her had plotted to kill her father, and by extension, ruin her life. I could see her spirit shatter that day. I held her while she sobbed, whispering, "It's not your fault." But deep down, a part of me blamed myself for not warning her sooner. The investigation that followed was brutal. The authorities found that Daniel had massive gambling debts. He'd taken loans under fake business names and used my daughter's accounts for money laundering. Killing me was supposed to solve his problems. He'd get access to Sarah's inheritance and wipe his slate clean. The vial he had contained a high-dose muscle relaxant that would have stopped my breathing within minutes. If Dr. Malik hadn't refused his offer, or if I hadn't planned ahead, I wouldn't be alive to tell this story. but here's where it got complicated. A month after his arrest, Daniel's lawyer contacted us, offering a deal. He said Daniel would confess everything in exchange for a lighter sentence if I wrote a letter requesting leniency. Sarah begged me to consider it. Dad, she said, her voice trembling, if you don't forgive him, he'll rot in prison for decades. I don't want that on my conscience. I looked at her, at the pain in her eyes, and for a moment I almost agreed. But then I remembered the fear, the sound of his voice whispering, you've lived long enough. So I said no. Daniel was convicted of attempted murder and financial fraud. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Sarah eventually divorced him, but the scars he left behind still run deep. She went through therapy, and so did I. For months, I couldn't sleep without double, checking that the doors were locked, that no one was sneaking in. I trusted no one, not neighbors, not friends, not even my own instincts for a while. But I also learned something valuable. Evil doesn't always come from strangers. It can wear the face of family. It can smile at your dinner table, toast to your health, and still plot your death in the next room. As time passed, I started to heal. Sarah and I rebuilt our relationship slowly. She sold the house she'd shared with Daniel and moved closer to me. I hired a new caretaker and made sure Dr. Malik was rewarded for his honesty. He saved my life, and I'll never forget that. Sometimes I still think about that night. The glint of the searing, the chill in the air, the look in Daniel's eyes. I wonder if he ever feels remorse. Maybe he does. Maybe sitting in that cell gives him time to realize what he threw away. But forgiveness? That's not something I can offer him. Not yet. Because the truth is, even though I survived, a part of me died that day. The part that believed my daughter's love life could ever bring joy again. I wish I could tell you that everything ended neatly, that justice brought peace. But real life doesn't work like that. Healing isn't linear. Some nights I still wake up sweating, hearing his voice in my head. But then I remind myself I fought back. I didn't let him win. And maybe that's the point of this story. Sometimes survival itself is the sweetest revenge. So if you've made it this far, tell me, what would you have done differently? Would you have forgiven Daniel for your daughter's sake? Or would you, like me, have made sure he faced the full weight of justice? Like this video, if you think I did the right thing. Subscribe for more real life stories that'll make your heart race and your mind spin. And share your thoughts in the comments, because trust me, I read them all. Until next time, stay safe and never underestimate the darkness behind a friendly smile. I'll see you all in the next story.